Hi, my name's Lynda. My depression caused me to have a mental breakdown, which I was very surprised at, as well as everybody who knew me. It started off, I discovered here in Capri that it started off in childhood, and then circumstances of life you just go through and you become unaware of the suppression of your emotions and your feelings because it's all too hard. You have, as a woman, we go through the experience of our children, our husbands, maybe for myself it was marriage breakdowns, there's addiction in the family. So yeah, and you just carry on and mask it all, and it becomes internalized. And then amongst all of that, there is a grief process of loss of people and loved ones. I learnt to mask my emotions and my feelings because I didn't want to burden other people with them, and I didn't think they'd understand. So I started isolating, and with the isolation came the loss of the art of communication. My loved ones around me didn't know what was happening, didn't know how to help me. I was just trying to cope with life until it got to the point where I started pushing my loved ones away. I love gardening, I'm a very keen gardener. I lost my passion for gardening, I lost my passion for my family, I lost my passion for my husband, and I become to resent everything and everyone around me. Looking back, I was totally unaware of where I was heading emotionally in my head, and my family noticed that there was something happening with my wife, my mother, my grandmother, but no one knew what it was. And inside I just felt there was a loneliness that I didn't know how to, and a void that I didn't know how to get any joy in my life. It got to the stage where I didn't want to get out of bed. It was too hard to get out of bed. When I did get out of bed, I had no energy to do anything. At the stage where I was feeling very lethargic and tired, I knew that I felt lonely, but I didn't know that I was going down to the path that I was into such deep depression. I knew that I was feeling anger, and in my latter stages I was getting very frustrated with the anger and didn't know what to do with it. I then felt very frustrated, and when all of these emotions started coming together, I just had nowhere else to put them. I was angry at my family, I was angry at life, I was angry with myself. I was lost, really lost, and didn't know where to turn or where to go. And this was very near to the point of my breakdown, and I got to the stage where there was no point. I felt no joy, I saw no colour. All I was feeling towards people were resentment. Just lost. No point. At that point, there was no place left for me to go. I had destroyed my relationship with my husband. It was on the point I could see of no return, and yeah, I started creating in my head stuff that was totally irrational. My thinking was totally irrational. My feelings were out of control. It was not a nice place to be. I was in a hole that I didn't know how to crawl out of. The way I was feeling was everybody else's fault. But also my family tried so hard. My husband tried to take me out, but in therapy here at Capri, I also discovered I had a social phobia, that I actually felt worthless and hopeless, useless. I didn't have anything to give in a conversation, which it was easier for me to pretend that I was sick than to go out and socialise with people. I would physically go and make myself sick so that my husband could hear me and say I wasn't well enough to go out, to be amongst people. Because sitting at a table or standing in a room of people, I started to have panic attacks and anxiety attacks, and I was able to mask that. But when I was going home, I was angry that I was in a place where I didn't want to be, and I would blame him in my head for putting me in that situation because of the feelings that I would have to go through afterwards. I was isolating and covering up more and more because of the hopelessness that I was feeling within myself and the uselessness I was feeling as a woman, as a person, as a mother. It was new territory, but I have dealt with stuff since I was a child, and I was a big distance between siblings in the family, and I was actually never a good communicator. I was bullied at school, so to put my hand up and ask for help was you just didn't do it because you might be knocked back because I wasn't an academic. So feeling right from the age of a school child, it was like a lack of confidence. I did things. I started to become a perfectionist at whatever it was that I did do, and I expected perfection from other people. I found it easier to actually do things myself than ask, so I wasn't good at asking for help. I would jump in and do it myself. In the last 6 months of my depression, my irrational behaviour started, and my husband just didn't know what was happening, and of course the more he didn't know what was happening, I became more irrational. I then felt the resentment. It was my crazy thinking. I started using Facebook, sitting on Facebook, playing Facebook games in my office, shutting the door, having email up behind it. If someone walks in the door, I would flick back to my games, making myself look productive, but I wasn't. But I also started resenting people coming into that space because it was my space, it was where I felt safe and didn't have to explain myself to anyone. It was my safe place, it was my addiction, and my depression loved it because I didn't have to communicate with anyone. In Capri, I learnt Halt, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. I stopped eating. I was feeling angry, I was feeling very lonely, and I was always tired. Today I look at myself daily and ask myself, am I anywhere in Halt? And I'm not a very good eater, so a lot of the times I have to sort of go, yeah, I'm hungry. And that today is one of the things that I hold dear to my heart, is that word Halt, to remind myself I can very easily go back into depression. I could very easily go back to Facebook. Just like an alcoholic or an addict, I am an addict to my emotions. Treatment here at Capri helped me be honest, which is one of the first principles we work with ourselves here in Capri. And the 5 principles are a part of the 12-step program when we walk out of Capri here. And it was been given me a wonderful tool to be able to help go back and process my thinking. The mental health program here at Capri has just helped me go out there with the tools that I daily use to keep my thoughts rational. And there is always help here if ever my thinking gets out of kilter. And my daily medication, which is just like an insulin injection for people with diabetes, my medication, 1 little tablet a day, helps me keep my thinking, my thoughts and my feelings in order. The support that I got and still do get after Capri, 2 years, 10 months down the track, is amazing. I don't know where I would be without the continuing support of my peers out there, being with like-minded people that are going through the same experiences. The counsellors and the therapists are there at any time just to have a quick 2-minute chat with, and they become very quickly aware by just looking at us that, how are you today, Lynda? Oh yeah, okay. What's okay? And all of that helps us keep our thinking in a straight line. And it can sometimes make us question ourselves, actually, am I okay today? What haven't I done in my program today? So the support here at Capri, ongoing support, is vital to my recovery out there in living in reality. Working my daily program in recovery with my journal, which I still use daily, being able to look through my emotions of the day and dissect them and see what's upset me, what hasn't upset me, what has given me joy in the day. It's a self-care program. Capri teaches me the tools to use, but I'm the one responsible for my recovery. And my daily journal is what keeps me safe from me and my depression. Every day I plan something good for myself and not always giving to others. I always give gratitude for my recovery, and every day I thank God that I am as well as I am today, and just wish I'd come to Capri 50 years ago. I have learnt so much. In my recovery, having come out of Capri, I'm doing things that I never knew that I could do, like sitting here today, Dale, talking to you. It's like confidence that I've never had right through my life. I now see colour again. I'm back in my garden enjoying it more than I've ever enjoyed. My grandchildren are the dearest things to my heart, which I didn't know how to love them. I was there in presence, but in my internal being, I was lost. I had no feeling for them. I knew they were my grandchildren. I love my family dearly, but that last few weeks before I came in here to Capri, when I was in crisis, there was no colour, there was no love. I was a control freak. It had to be done my way or the highway. And I was a perfectionist. Now I just like to sit and listen and cuddle. And that is so precious. And those are the things that they're going to remember me for, is the ability to just listen. Yeah. And that I couldn't do before. I was not a good listener. I was not good at humility, which is another big principle. If you have any of these feelings or emotions or experiences that I have spoken about, there is help and there is hope and a beautiful future out there that you can feel joy again, and you are not on your own. The help is here at Capri, and everything that you need out there to start living again and thriving, not just surviving, but thriving in life. And the joy that we can start to feel again is amazing.